plenty to say because they were staunch, a bit like myself, in the persecution of Kirsten. At this point, there were pitchforks and fires on the sticks for her, and it's tiring. It is tiring. I don't know if they needed money or they wanted just to see, but I felt like they're testing our patience. This wasn't even in COVID. They gave us 2.5 hour episodes. Now that was torture, but this is not necessary. You know what I mean? Like honestly, the drag out has been absolutely crazy. They've been dragging this season. Honestly, they've been dragging it, man. But we're here, Sha, and we're standing strong. And you know what? We'll be here next season. You know why? Because I got to make money. So I will be here next season. Okay. You know what? We might have to start doing 90 Day Fiance. I heard that show's kind of slapping. We might have to do 90 Day Fiance now. I might jump into that. Do 90 Day Fiance. Create a panel for that. If you lot are down, let me know if you're down for 90 Day Fiance. But there's so many 90 Day Fiancés, like 90 Day Fiance after the altar, 90 Day Fiance before the altar, 90 Day Fiance, this and that. Like, how many 90 Day Fiance have they got? Like, I can't keep up. You know what I mean? So, shoot. Anyway, do me a massive favor. If you are new here, we want you to like it, share. We want you to subscribe to the channel. Okay? If you haven't done so already, if you're new here, like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have not been getting notifications, you actually need to turn your notifications on black. The bell button, click it and make sure it's the black bell. That means you get all notifications, okay? So if you're not getting notified of these lives, it's because you haven't turned your bell button to black. So if you can do that right away. Do that right now if you're not getting notified. I always see in the chat, I didn't get notified. It's because you need to change your notifications to the black bell, and that will give you the ability to be able to be notified when we go live. Secondly, as well, I can see a couple green people in here. High Vibe, shout out to you as well. Tina Bree, shout out to you as well. Gigi, shout out to you. Angelina, shout out to you. Trey Mack, shout out to you as well. You guys are all part of the exclusive membership. It is $1, £1. It just means that when we do our membership only lives, we get to have a bit of fun and do it in the comfort of our membership. Okay, it doesn't go out to the public. It doesn't go out and whatever. We that's do it behind the scenes. Okay, so yeah. Hey, Ashley, good to see you too. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you jump on the membership as well. Join the gang. We've got over 60 people already joining that membership. And listen, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna be on. Those of you on Patreon as well. You'll get access as well. We're gonna have some conversations in Zoom as well. So we'll keep it low key and cool as well. So we can have more conversations as well. All right. So make sure you do that as well. So if you haven't joined the membership, join the membership. And the last thing also is, don't forget the merchandise, my guys. Okay, all right. Listen, summer's coming, but winter will be here soon. Grab your hoodies, grab your hat, grab your raincoat, grab your windbreaker. We got all of those as well on the link down below. You can see some of our content, some of our great items of clothing. And, Mineral Gang is to the world, baby. Listen, look what I'm doing for you, baby. Mineral Gang to the world, okay? Mineral Gang to the world. All right, listen. We're going to be talking to you guys about Married at First Sight. Yes, Married at First Sight. And we're going to be breaking down all the different couples as well for you. I also will be having a special live for you guys for Married at First Sight. Monday night, 6 p.m. EST. I will be having Justin come on the show. So, you know how I like to do my interviews. I like to do mine with a little bit of depth. So on Tuesday night, guys, we will be having Justin from the previous season. He'll be coming on on here. We'll be interviewing him 6 p.m. on Monday night. I'll put up a notification on the community page as well so you guys can see it. We're going to have a real good conversation, okay? And hopefully that should trigger the rest of these Married at First Sight panelists to start opening their ass up. Because let me tell you something, I've been in contact with so many of them, and it's like this close, and then something happens, okay? I don't know what's going on, but Justin is breaking the trend. So hopefully that opens us up to others as well. Okay, let's get some panelists up. I got JR, got Trey, in the chat, starting with the three henchmen. And let me tell you something, I'm sure Sean will join later on and defend his bride and his quang. Trey got the sipping going already. It's a bit mad still. Yeah, so woo, okay, guys. First and foremost, let's just talk about this. What was your overall thoughts of this reunion? Part one, part two, if you want to talk about it, overall, what was your thoughts of the reunion yourself? What did you feel about it? What did you get out of it? Let me know your thoughts as well, man. So the reunion of tears, sorrows, and prayers. Oh my god, I'm gonna go to you because you first come up with that crazy line, Trey. So talk to me, bro.
Even the evening, fellas, even the evening. Well, let's get to it. Part one, snooze fest a little bit. It was some good stuff in there, but you can tell they saved everything for part two. Really only one main couple, which is probably going to take up most of the time tonight. But I did catch your live. I caught the rewatch of your live you did earlier today with Sean. I was like, yep, I agree with a lot of what you were saying. Sean too, but Sean, he gonna cap for his girl. That's fine. It's fine. I understand. You know, I understand. But it was interesting. I do feel like they could have focused on some of the other couples. Like the whole Diamond Mac thing was, I found very interesting when I watched the episode. I was like, hmm. There was a lot going on here that could have been prevented if the experts was more involved in the actual day to day. Like a lot that could have been prevented. But hey, this is where we at. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it.
You most indeed will. Jr. Talk to me.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I agree, Trey. Um, I think one of the things that came out the most to me was the fact that with some more intervention, some of these relationships may have panned out slightly different, at least. I think the host was trying to do a lot of matchmaking after it's all said and done. Especially with Shaq and Kirsten. I think he was going in. But there isn't anything wrong with that other than the fact that they've said no already. But I guess they still want to try and find some type of happy ending because let's be real, there's only one couple that kind of were attracted to each other and stayed solid through the whole season. And one for 5, one for 4. Yeah, like it wasn't it's not a good ratio. So I think they were just trying to see if they can kind of not save face, but kind of rekindle some romance there so it doesn't look so bad. And considering how little the couples connected, it's an extremely long season, bro. Like you said like they could have at least cut 5 episodes. I would even go further than that. I'd probably say this season could have been done in like 12 to 15 episodes max. Because, nothing was going to change your trajectory or some of them without that intervention that I mentioned with the pros. Did the pros get the couples right, though, in the beginning? Nah, I think, a couple of them could have done better with other suitors. I'm not sure what the matchmakers saw to put these particular people together the way they did, because they had all these people and they could have, and there was an episode where I think it was the pre-season where they were explaining their process into why they put everyone together. So maybe, there's a little bit more to that too, but the experiment on the whole, it's not a pass. 1 out of 5 is a 20%. That's not going to pass you any exams that I know or experiments. So yeah, that's what I took from the first 2 reunions. And Coach, you say it's the last one. I swear they've got one more, bro. Somehow, I swear they've got one more.
I think they got a Where's the Cast Now episode, somebody said as well. So that will be getting played too. But I think I'll leave that one alone. Unless something crazy happens in it, I think I'll leave it alone. You know, and I think it's been a very long season. Very, very long season. We're at 20% pass rate. And I think the 20% pass rate, I think the experts thought the people that passed would never pass. I don't think the experts thought they were going to pass, personally. I think they were thinking this is going to be a very touchy one. This might be touch and go. But they're the ones that actually survived, Nicole and Chris. But hey, it works like that. And I think also as well, what's interesting about the situation with this season, Married at First Sight, and this reunion as well, is that there was a lot of focus on Dom and Mac for some reason. I guess obviously because they didn't focus on them in the last episode, but less episode and focus on them, and then the focus on the dog of Hank and Thingy was also interesting as well. It's like I'm seeing Jasmine cry. And did anybody notice that Jasmine and Aris, why Aris was so close to Jasmine, and why close Jasmine was to Aris? Why is her booty all up in his thigh? Why is she all up comfortable in his armpit? That's what I want to know. I'm not saying you can't be cool, but that's too cool for me. I thought she said you had a man from the last episode. Did she not say she had a man, that she's with that new guy? If I'm looking at that, I'm going to myself, wait, if you got a man, why are you sitting so close to my man like that? That your bum is in his actual the side of his thigh. Like you acting as if like you guys still together, or you like have been having sex or something. It was way too close. Anybody else notice that, bros? You notice that, JR?
Yeah, I saw it too. And I was quite surprised by that, because they obviously didn't hit it off in the time allocated during the season. And if she's got a man since the show ended, I'm not sure why that would bring them closer physically. You feel what I'm saying? But the one thing that I think might be the case is that maybe having gone through the show together, they may have bonded somewhat, although it didn't pan out. I don't know. But if I was her new man, I'd be like, like, why are you so close? Like there's obviously more to it than what we saw on the camera. Without being insecure, of course.
Yeah, I noticed that in the first part of the reunion. It was very strange. It was almost like he was hugged up on her and she wasn't pushing him back. I'm like, okay, this is weird. I was thinking at first, okay, maybe this is just for the show. They're telling them to sit that close, and a few others were sitting like that too, Shaq and Kirsten. But that's a whole different story. And even Mac and Dom to a certain extent had their arm behind them. They were kind of sitting close, but as it went on, they were like on top of each other the whole time. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know, something going on behind the scenes. I don't know. But she was definitely feeling especially that first reunion, she was definitely feeling very spicy. Which is, a welcome change for Jasmine. I was like, okay, all right, Lee's finally tell us how you really feel. But yeah, I don't know. The spicy, even though she was trying to talk that mess, I was like, but you still all up on them? No. Like, make it make sense. Either you feel like, well, she definitely feels like she was cheated a little bit, like within this process. She definitely feels that. And to a certain extent, she's right. But like Aris had mentioned, I know we're going to get into it, but like Aris had mentioned too, when he was by himself out doing his little part of the interview, he said he was like, it wasn't going to be good if he would have, he probably could have pushed the intimacy part and take it there. But that wouldn't have solved anything. It would have made it worse. So he decided against that. That's smart. Whatever smoke you want to give him, at least he had the wherewithal to be like, you know what? Nah, I'm not feeling you like that. I think you're cool, but I'm just not feeling you like that. So yes, his effort should call into question, but what are you gonna do? If the man's not really feeling you, you expect him just to put in effort of what? Exactly. And vice versa. If she wasn't feeling him, I say the same thing. Effort of what? You can't force this.
You ain't tell no lies. I'm definitely here with you. Um, I mean, listen, she got her teeth fixed as well. She's looking more confident, more pretty. She with a man. Maybe that's the reason why Iris is now looking at her a little bit different. But the thing is that now, but my thing is, like I said, I just don't know. Like, and apparently somebody said they were wearing their wedding bands. I didn't notice that. But my thing is, listen, I don't care if I'm wearing my wedding band or not. You're not gonna sit that close to me. If I know I have a girl now, I'm not trying to make that girl feel any type of way with you sitting next to me. So I don't need to prove a point. I don't need to try and use you to get at the new girl. Like, I'm trying to move on and be in a fresh new thing. I don't need you fucking up my thing. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't need you messing up my flow. So for me, I wouldn't even give that person an opportunity. I'll be like, y'all producers want me to sit close. I'm not going to do it. I have a girlfriend. You know this already. And I want to sit at a distance. I want to keep that distance. A bit like how Clint and old girl were sitting. Clint and Gina were not sitting close, right? But you saw how Mac was sitting with Dom. He wasn't sitting close either until he sat with Gina. When he sat with Gina, his arm was around Gina. So you clearly can sit at a distance. She chose to be cuddled up with him next to him. She got questions she has to ask herself. Why would you allow yourself to be in that position? Because Aris out here, he's not giving you nothing and he's not going to be your man. So why would you put yourself in that position where you're like so close and up in the grill? Like, you know, but hey.
She still likes him.
I think so, you know.
She still likes him. On some level, she still likes him.
She was literally in an armpit. In fact, I actually have a clip for you guys. You can actually see it as well. I was like, baby, listen, I need you to back that ass up away from me, okay? Because you got a man. All right, you got a man. So, and it gets like that. You know when you like somebody, and you try to do everything in your power to make them like you. You know, that's, you know, she's tried everything now, man. Even that last bit, you know, I was like, baby,
Well, Aris did say he considered open relationship, so, or polygamy or something like that. So whether she's got a man, he might not even care about that. Might even be more appealing for him with his weird self.
Fair point.
But yeah, you do bring up a good point though. If she's got a man,
I know that I could be as annoying as.
Go for it.
If she's got a man,
go on, you can go, bro. Go.
If she's got a man, why are you so comfortable being so close now? When you had her to yourself, you weren't feeling her like that. So you do have a point. But as we've seen throughout the season, Aris is, you know, who knows what his real thing is. A lot of people are calling him an F-boy. Had that discussion many times, trust me. And, you know, some of the comments he made, some of the sexual references and all that stuff, whether they were joking or serious, we don't even know. So Aris is a different character.
If he was truly had that F-boy energy, he would have smashed. He would have
exactly.
That's true.
That's what's confusing. Like people will say, "Right, but he's not ready for marriage. He came on there. He's not clearly ready for marriage. So what was he doing on there?
Yeah,
he didn't want to smash, like you said, because he's not a F-boy in that regard. So what was he really doing? That's the confusion. That's the confusing part.
I think he just wasn't feeling.
If that was your girl, if Jasmine's your girl and she's sitting like that, what are you saying?
Oh, I got questions.
Remind you how they were sitting. They're sitting like this. If they sitting like this,
so what's up with your boy,
Captain? What are you saying? Your girl sitting like your girl is sitting with her ex-man like this? Tell me something, cuz.
You know what the funny thing is? You can actually pass Aries' demeanor off because he's just really just sitting there chilling. He's on the edge. He's just sitting there chilling.
But
she's
if you look at
actually
how much space there is on the seat where Kirsten, where Jasmine is.
Look how much space there is on the sofa. Oh my days.
He's on the edge, just chilling.
Look how much space there is on the sofa.
Right up on it. Yeah.
You know, yeah, you can kind of pass him off. Like he's just, arm on the back of the chair chilling. She is scooted up into him. I'm like, okay. It was a bit weird. And somebody just put in chat, you notice on the first part, they still had their rings on. And then by the second part, they took them off.
Okay.
I thought that was a little strange.
All right, Coach, what are you saying? If she's wearing her ex-man's ring and you're the new man, what are you saying, bro?
If she wasn't ring. Yeah, listen, of course, I'd have to ask her a question, obviously, like, was it for the show or whatever? But obviously, my first initial instinct is going to be like, what the frick? You get me? What the frick? What we did? Do you get me? So, yeah, my first part would have been like, what the frick? But I would have asked the question, like, what was it for? Was it for the show or something like that? What was the reason for that? What is the reason? I would ask that first. But I mean, I wouldn't find a problem with that because if they're both having to wear a ring because of the show, I guess I would ask the question. I think it'd be cool. But I'd be more concerned about the fact that you were sitting on pretty much in his lap. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but literally, you were literally in his armpit, and I'd be asking questions like, "Why is it you had to sit? What was going on that you had to sit that close when there's a lot of sofa space going on?" That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? What does that mean for your new relationship? That's what I'm saying.
She probably wasn't even thinking about it. She just was comfortable in his presence.
That's what a girl would tell you. She would like, I wasn't even thinking about it. Like, honestly, I just literally at the time I wasn't even thinking about it. Meanwhile, when you do it, you don't get the same grace about you weren't thinking. Why weren't you thinking about it? Why weren't you thinking about the fact that you were cotched up in her backside? Huh? Why weren't you thinking about the fact that she was all leaning up upon your armpit like it was Abraham's bosom? Huh?
You know the funny thing that kills me about Jasmine? You know the funny thing that kills me about Jasmine? You could tell it during the reunion. She wanted to really go off on Eris about how she felt she was treated during this process. But she knew she really couldn't because she said something very specific that they kind of revealed. She said Eris was very honest with me from Jump Street, get-go, off camera. They had a conversation.
Come on now.
And he was very honest with me from jump, and he had always kept that honesty with her throughout. So a part of her feels like I can't be mad because he told me straight up from the get-go. He was honest with me from the get-go. So she can only be but so mad. She can have frustration, but anger pointed towards him, I don't know. Because I mean, if you think about it, when when Matt tried to jump up and defend Eris on something she said, she jumped right down his throat. Like, look, why are you defending him? You shouldn't defend him. No. I'm like, whoa. Like, I was like, okay, that was a bit much. Even Matt was looking like, damn, where'd that come from? Like, what? I caught strength for just trying to defend my boy a little bit. You muted.
Yeah, the energy was mad. Can't lie to you. That energy was mad that she was giving old boy Mac in a part one.
It was a bit weird. I was like, why she jumped down his throat? And the defense was kind of warranted because Matt was making a point. You know, Matt was making a point. But she didn't want to hit. She just wanted to be in her bag and have all the smoke.
Sorry, my internet is moving mad slow, so it's not moving that. But yeah, no, I definitely hear you on that. Definitely. I think she was going hard on Mac, and I wasn't sure. I was like, why is she going so hard on Mac defending Aris a little bit? Like, I was like, yo, She's going way too hard, man. I need her to cut it. Like, baby, chill, B. Like, man was only just saying like he understands and saying Iris is this and that, but she went in on him. And I was like, baby, you are showing some tail right here, but I'll allow you still. You know what I mean? I won't go too in depth with it. But let's talk about the first one then. Let's talk about the first couple then. Dom and Mac situation. They had their little situation, Dom and Mac. And looks like Dom regretted her behavior. She finally got to see her own behavior, and I think she realized she ain't shit. Just gonna say she ain't shit. Like, you know, I need more women to see this, because I need some more women to see this, because they be thinking that we are the problem. They be calling us dusties, calling us these little gremlins, saying that men ain't doo-doo, men are you know, they
Men are
glitter
trash.
dust, men are trash, men are this, but they don't get to see their behavior. And I think the fact that Dom got to see her behavior, and then the waterworks started. You know why it started? Because she realized she realized that she's a bad partner. She thought she was a good partner, and she thought that she was doing her bit and she was cool, but she ain't doo-doo. That's the truth. She ain't doo-doo. And it got found out. So you know, when the experts were saying you was harsh, you was saying this and that, she was like, wait, was I being harsh? Like, yes, you being harsh, but your mama was out here telling you you was okay for doing it. Okay, your mom was out here telling you it's okay for doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not saying Mac is clean, because Mac was also too. When you know her trigger is about her housing, no point you out here withholding information, knowing that the basement's gonna be an issue. You know what I mean? Like that was also nuts as well. But reality was she was doing the absolute freaking most. Absolute most. And I'm glad the experts did let her know that her behavior was unacceptable and that it caused the breakdown in the relationship. I think it made her have to look at her own behavior a little bit more and be like, maybe I need to be cognizant. Maybe I need to, maybe I need to really look at how I treat people and how this comes off. You know what I mean? So yeah. What's your guys' thoughts?
I agree, man. It looked like watching herself back was a very reflective and eye-opening moment for her and some of her behaviors. And some of them may have just been subconscious, where she didn't even realize how hard she was going. But also, I found a bit interesting when Kevin was asking them, what could he have done in a situation to try and, keep the marriage going. And she said something to the effect of, she knows she's hard-headed sometimes, and she just wanted him to go in the room and say, look, just pack your stuff, come into the bedroom, and we can work through this. Problem is, he's not a mind reader, and you're only getting to know each other through the process of the show. So, he may not be that type of dude. Evidently, he wasn't. But I think also Mac had to do some self-reflection too, because he realized that he was definitely in his feelings, as he even said, from some of the things that Dom had said to him. And that's why he reacted the way he did. And he definitely regrets that too. But would the couple work? No, because Mac has eyes for Gina. He weren't feeling Dom after they first started butting heads. He was even questioning why they put them together. So, but when it comes to Gina, his eyes light up. I find it hard to believe they've only had one date. If they did have one date, then I find it hard to believe that something didn't take place. I don't know, obviously, but the level of attraction that Dom has for Gina, and Gina also reciprocates. She talks about her marriage as if it was a waste of time, a failed experiment. She's quite vocal about it. But when it comes to talking about Mac, she's all for it. And they've been in each other's DMs for quite a while through the show as well. All right, so that came out during the season. So yeah, I think particularly with Mac and Dom, Dom really, I think she feels like she dropped the ball by quitting as soon as she did, because that's not a good look. you know, her future relationships she's going to go into, if she ever tells the guy, you know, I quit early, and you know, a lot of guys will be like, nah, well, you're a quitter. Okay, so when times get tough, you're going to run, or, you know, they're going to have that impression of her. And I think she realizes that too. But she said she's dating now, so she's not too hung up over it. She's dating now. She said it's not exclusive yet, but she's comfortable with dating whoever it is. It's not Dusty Gill either, by the way.
Yo, Mac is too petty to be in a relationship, because his first reaction to being hurt is the last shot. You know, so that's the issue by itself, within him by itself. The crazy thing is, some of the stuff that was said, he had a reason to lash out. Like, it was like over the top, like unnecessary. Like this, it was, some of their arguments was completely unnecessary. Even to, okay, when she made the comment about her worries or insecurities about him actually being in Nashville, you know, I thought they were very true, and I can understand where she was coming from with that. But if you look at how everything happened, she never actually told Mackenzie that was her fear. She never actually did. That came up after the fact. So now you already giving attitude, blaming him or downcasting him for something that you didn't even talk to him about or bring up, or even give him a chance to try and reassure you about. You know, so that part was just a little disingenuous for me. I'm like, okay, this is a bit weird. Like, you had all these fears, this and that and third. Why didn't you talk to him about it? Because I'm remembering, I'm like, you never brought that up. That was either in your confessional, or it was after the fact, after you done had the argument. You know, I'm like, if that was really a fear of yours, or we could tell it was going to be something when she did have that conversation with his mom and his family, and she did ask the questions. That's how we knew, okay, you know, she has a fear that he might just, you know, she doesn't want to move. Cool. She needs to know that the man she's with is going to be able to stay. I understand that. You had a conversation with his mom, but you still never went back and brought it up with him, ever. You know, it's childish. That's something you should have brought up to him or talked to him about. And even on on Mac's side, he definitely need to practice some more patience in some instances, just a little bit. You know, I can get the frustration because he said something that was interesting. He noticed that, you know, okay, she said, he kind of made a comment. He said, okay, she said, my sense of humor is a little off for her, this and that and third. I'm thinking, okay, that's something I could work on, and all right, you know, maybe we keep going. But then she just went to, I want a divorce, and that shocked him, because he didn't think it was gonna go there. And you can still look on his face like, how did we get here? Like, I can understand we having the tit for tat and we're not vibing. We were in the beginning, but now we're not vibing. I get that, but how the heck do we get here? And put on the spot, he's asked a question like, when she, I think it's a little foolish to all of a sudden go in on this guy. Then in front of Pastor Cal, you say, you know what? I want a divorce. But then we're months later, and you turn around and say, I was kind of hoping he would chase after me. My first thought was, for what? I mean, did you not see how you handled that situation? You kind of put a nail in that sucker and walked off. You know, it's one thing if you would have left it ambiguous. Oh, I'm just not sure. Maybe, you know, if she was a woman, I'm just not sure. You know, maybe this is just too much for me. I don't know if I want to stay married, this and that third, and run off down the hallway or something. That instance, all right, Maggie, you might need to go and talk to her. You know, see what it is and tell her, hey, calm down, chill out. But that's not what you did. You went in on this guy, tore him down a little bit, and then, as you said, they talked earlier before Pastor Cal talked to them. They talked earlier, and they just seemed to be in a better spot. You know, they were talking, they were laughing. Okay, seem to be in this better spot. So all of a sudden, Pastor Cal asked questions. She's like, "Hey, I want a divorce." What? I thought we were. What? Okay, I'm confused. I'm confused. What's going on? But you want me to chase after you? For what? I mean, so far you up to that point, you've proved yourself unchaseable. You know what I mean? Why would someone want to chase that? Just a question. I'm like, okay, yeah, it wasn't all her. Matt definitely played his part because JR's right. He was checking for Gina just about near the beginning. Probably because him and Matt was already starting to bump heads. So, you know, it's one thing he probably noticed her and like, okay, cool. But as soon as him and Matt start knocking brains together, he was like, yeah, this ain't it. But, you know, this Gina chick is kind of cool. But I got my own opinions about that. I don't care what they say. That was a little foul. Like, come on, bro. It's a little foul. Yeah, y'all trying to make it cute. Oh, but maybe they didn't work out, but maybe we can. Nah, it's a little foul. And we got to talk about the total disrespect that they kept trying to throw our man Senator Clinton. I just didn't like it. That man had one little fumble in the beginning of the show. And to me, it was a fumble that was very warranted because what she said to him first, which they never brought back up. They continue not to bring that up, what she said to him. You know, but you bring this up, scoriate him, and continue even on the reunion try to scoriate him for it. I'm like, come on. And then you got Mac on the side here, Dirty Mac. I guess that's why they call him Mac. Go figure.
Yeah, I agree, Trey, man. There's some mixed messages there that Gina was Dom was sending, because, you know, you have to kind of be careful with how you treat the person if you really want them to be nice to you, right? And she was picking apart his sense of humor and had an issue with a few things. And don't get it twisted, Mac isn't a saint or anything. I think Mac had his sights set on going back to Detroit anyway. You know, that doesn't come out of nowhere. You don't just say, oh, you know what? I just got here. Oh, the relationship didn't work. Yeah, I'm going back. That doesn't make sense to me. It's either he did that for TV or he wasn't really sincere about staying in Tennessee.
But what's stopping him to stay? If you move here for other opportunities, you live in your friend's basement. Obviously, he said before, yeah, I could have got my own house with her, but there was really no need to. And plus, I signed up for this. You're probably gonna get a new wife. What's the use of getting a house? She probably want to be in on this too. So hold off on that. Things don't work out. You got opportunities back home. What's keeping you from staying? What, just to prove her right? Who cares?
No. I get that. But what I'm saying is, if all right, so I'm just saying, if I move somewhere, right? If I moved somewhere for a relationship, I would have already known that person, built up the trust level, and I wouldn't do it on a whim that this TV show is going to find me a partner and then I relocate to wherever it is and I'm going to set my store there. There would have to be other reasons why I would go there as well. I think that's where I'm coming from.
I agree with that.
the success rate of the show isn't that high for you to bank on that sustainability where you're going to meet someone, click, connect, stay married, and then set up roots in Tennessee. He would have to have work, have to have a plan of how he's going to stay there, regardless of how the show pans out. So it was that is definitely performative in a way, because I think it was for the show itself.
If
the
that's
success
the
rate
case,
isn't high enough, so that's not a well thought out plan, in my opinion.
If I agree with you, but we also have to bring this up because we're going to have to go here when we move to this couple. If we're saying this about Mac, and it could be very well true, then we're going to have to bring Shaq's sincerity into question as well. Because that definitely looks like it. It definitely looks like it.
Definitely. I think with Shaq's case, though, he's already from that area, right? And if he was offered a job out of state, then that's different. I don't think he moved out there just to start a new life.
Where is he from?
I thought he was from Tennessee.
Well, he moved to Texas.
Yeah, for work, I think.
Yeah, but they're from, yeah, I don't think he's actually from Texas. So he literally just moved to a whole new city, start a whole new life, a whole new job. Originally he's from Memphis. They're from Memphis and whatnot. And actually, I think he had moved to Nashville because didn't he commented on when he said he met Kirsten, she's actually from Nashville. She was like, oh, okay, she could show me around and whatnot.
Yeah, he did say that.
So
this episode too.
Which
he
we'll
said,
get to that too.
One of the things that he liked was the fact that Kirsten's from the area, so they could go around town and she can tell him where the spots are and they can do stuff together. But then he also said that he felt like she was ashamed, embarrassed to bring him around the town with her. And she tried to defend it. Anyway, we'll get onto that couple, but back to Dom and Mac. Yeah, Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's like I said, his motives seem a bit too flimsy for me. But again, if you're with someone matched on the show, just trying to put it in that perspective. Listen, if she says, or she's showing you that she's not feeling you, she's not attracted to you, she doesn't like you, whatever it is she's voicing, if she's doing it that strongly, then do you still try to pursue? I don't know. Or do you just take it on the chin and say, okay, well, she's not feeling me, it didn't work, I'm out. And I agree. Dom was quite petty herself with some of the things he did, and Mac definitely reciprocated. Is it wrong for the pettiness to be reciprocated, though, considering she was doing it as well?
It's not wrong, but at some point in time, as an adult, you got to realize it's not going to get you anywhere. At some point, listen, grown people are going to be grown people. There's going to be some back and forth with your partner, man and woman, being men and women. It don't matter. It's going to be some back and forth. But if y'all just so knee deep or taking shots at each other and y'all pettiness just keep coming up, somebody at some point in time is going to have to say, wait a minute. Okay, stop. All right. This is not moving us any place. It's up, down a dark path. At least one of us need to be like, okay, let's try to steer the ship another direction. At least try. But none of them did. They just kept going right down that dark road. And it led them to this. If that wouldn't have happened, we can say this about every couple, but the experts clearly saw where there was problems that could have been prevented, especially with this couple and every other couple. If you notice that time with Pascal, when she said she wanted a divorce, I felt like Pascal was trying to interject, like hey, no, think about this. Nah, this is not it. But it's one of those things like, okay, y'all are seeing this happen, yet no one is speaking up and saying, hey, wait a minute, y'all need to both of y'all need to take a step back. How and figure out, first of all, how did this get here? Because when you look at it, and even Don was saying, even McKenzie had to agree, half of it wasn't even uncalled for. It didn't even have to go that far. But because it did, it soured them towards each other. Now, they don't have no regrets now, but looking back on it, they could both see how their behaviors, both of them, messed up their situation where they didn't have to be. Because in the beginning, it seemed fine. It was like, okay, this might go someplace. Let's see.
Yeah, probably an unpopular opinion, but I think even if they had stayed on the show a bit longer, I still think Mac would have had one eye on Gina, and that would have been a recipe for disaster. Like, because he would have been paying like attention to Gina a lot more than he would have been with his connection with Don. He basically came away feeling or saying that he felt like they weren't suited, but he feels like he makes a better match with Gina. So if they had stayed on, I don't think it would have worked anyway. His eyes would have been roving, especially with Gina's troubles and a lack of attraction for Clint. He would have been focusing on that. Still probably would have been in the DMs trying to see what's going on.
I never. I'm sorry, Kojo.
No, I was just saying, I'm with you guys. Go for it, bro.
I just said that I never. This might be bad. I never fully believed Mackenzie was really, really feeling Gina like that. A part of me, after to get to know him a little bit, a part of me looks like, he might be just naturally a dirty macker. He might be just one of those dudes that cannot help but find himself into trouble with some of his homeboys, maybe saying some things inappropriately to some of his homeboys' girls, or supposedly friends' girls, this and that third. Oh, you don't find her attractive? I find her attractive, man. You know what I would do with that? Like, for some odd reason, I get a sense of this is not the first time that something like this has happened to Mackenzie. I don't know what it is, but I just get a strange feeling that this is not nothing new. He done slid into some DMs of some people or women that he should not have behind some of his friends' back or supposed friends. I don't know why, I just get that feeling. So this thing with Gina, I mean, like I guess when I said this, if it was so, if he felt such strong feelings or he liked Gina so much, then God's honest truth, they should be talking now. All of this, well, maybe we'll see. Yep. Oh, okay, I'll go on a date. Nah, it's more like, we probably went out. It was cool. I like her. She's nice. We talk. It's too wishy-washy. It's way too wishy-washy, way too casual. So I'm getting the sense of, you kind of do this. This might be your MO. Just for some dudes just love to chase. Once they got the chase over with, they're uninterested in the woman. We know what it is. Eddie Murphy, Boomerang, same thing. All about the chase. As soon as he got the chase, he got her uninterested. I don't know. I just never felt like he really was feeling Gina like that. I don't know.
I can agree with some of what you're saying still. I'll tell you why. Because considering the camera stopped rolling, if there was a genuine connection between the two of them, they would have ramped up their efforts to see each other, spend time with each other, and see if something could work, because they both gone through the experiment. They know what they don't want, what they didn't like, and if there was something there, then they would have pursued it now, right? So I definitely see that. But then I think maybe you could also be right when you say the attraction could have come because of what was going on in their own relationships on the show. And then that made them look around at the other couples and be like, oh, well, they're going through problems too. But for me, Mac was way too interested in Gina. Like when he was sat down with Aris and he was telling him that he slid in her DMs and things like that. Yeah, it just seemed too casual and relaxed about saying that, because that would usually drop a bomb, like Aris already reacted with, okay, you know what? I'm staying out of it. I'm going to pretend that he didn't tell me anything. It's nothing to do with me. I'm staying clear of this one, right? But that would have been a bombshell ordinarily, right? That would have been a, oh no, that dirty rat type moment, right? It wasn't. I think Mac has been macking on Gina for a while. He's scheming on her for a while. But yeah, obviously the chemistry can't have been that good if they haven't followed it up and done a lot more since then. They were being asked about a follow-up date, so they haven't even been on more than one date. So after all of that, sliding in the DMs, talking, and all the other stuff they were doing, there was no real intention to hook up. So that's what makes me feel like it's more of a rebound thing. He didn't work out with Dom. He might have even been using his petty levels just to try and talk to Gina, just so it does get back to Dom. That's how petty he could be. And we do know that Gina's dislike for Clint can extend that far as well, where she might be like, oh, well, you know what? I'm not feeling Clint, but Dom's much more my type. And then, Mac's more my type. So, she's really going to be performative in trying to make Clint feel bad or feel jealous of what he could have had. But let's not get it twisted. The Mac and Gina pairing could have actually worked a lot better than Mac and Dom and Clint and Gina. Like Mac and Gina would probably be a better match.
I also got to say that one date that they had, that was a date provided by the show, not on their own. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was like, if you really wanted Gina like that, you would have pursued her on your own time, not the show's time. And it's been 6 months and you still ain't, we just not talking about a second date? Yeah. All right, bro. Yeah. All right, bro.
You weren't serious about that. I absolutely agree with that. It shouldn't take you that long before you wanna take somebody on a date. He's been messing around for too long in between that time. So yeah, he been playing. He ain't really want her. Like he said, I think he's been rebounding. I think he just wants to play. He just saw an opportunity to play and he played. Do you know what I mean? Wasted everybody's time and then wasted potentially almost could have ruined your a little bit of a friendship with Clint for no reason. But then again, you might not even respect Clint because you were telling Clint that you found her attractive earlier on, but she didn't want to do nothing with it. So you're doing the exact same thing Clint's doing. So what? Just because Clint didn't want her, now you wanted her, and now we realize you don't even really want her because you've not even been trying to take on a date recently. Please get the frick out of here. All right, but let's quickly talk about Nicole then, because they did a segment on Nicole on this episode, this part here where and I could see she was getting a little bit frustrated because they were talking about Nicole, how she butted into everybody else's situation. And then obviously there was people Shaq was defending her, saying, he knows that she cares, but sometimes he wants her just to back off. Aris said the same thing. Yeah, she was a little bit annoying, I guess. What was your guys' thoughts on that? Because can't lie to you, I thought that it was she looked stressed a little bit by the conversation. You know what I mean? The fact that she was being told that you do much.
Yeah, no surprise there. She was interfering in their relationships. She may have thought she was being, doing well or being like an agony aunt or something like that. But, people weren't receptive to it, and they didn't call her out on it. They just let her carry on doing it. So that might have emboldened her to keep going. But she definitely was, cringing, uncomfortable, watching herself back and seeing the feedback that she was receiving from her castmates about what she was doing. She was interfering. And I think that may be down to the fact that she found someone that, she's managed to make it work with. So she may think she's speaking from a position where, okay, if I've managed to make it work, then, if you follow what I would do in your situation, then you might be able to make it work. But it's unsolicited advice. And, if they didn't want to hear it or they thought she was doing too much, someone should have told her. But she seems like the type of person where if you had said anything like that to her, she would have taken it as a slight or an offense, or probably even got oversensitive about it and, reacted worse than she did with the Clint comment. Because she does strike me as someone that might be a bit temperamental and also a bit sensitive to criticism. So yeah, like I'm not surprised though. She seemed to be the one that was, out of all of the ladies, she was the one in everyone's business.
Well, it is a fact. She is temperamental and sensitive. She said that about herself in the beginning with some of the stuff that she went through. And she also said that she was nosy. She straight up said, I'm nosy. So she only did exactly what she said she was going to do. Now, the crazy thing is, if everybody had it, well, if everyone had that much of a problem with it, they should have said something. The funny thing is, if you notice, the fellas did say something to Chris. Hey, man, get your wife. They kind of threw that in there, a little comment in there. I was like, oh, so something was been said behind the scenes. Hey, bro, your wife doing too much. And obviously, I think he did say something to her because she kind of brought her to, yeah, Chris is like, back off, get out of their business, this, that, third. But I can't help it. I know, say I love them. Nah, sometimes you need to learn to just get out of people's business, especially when they're telling you to get out of the business and they're trying to do it nicely. That's the crazy thing for it, because they generally like her. It seems like they genuinely just like her. But she just can't mind her own business at times. And it just gets in the way of stuff. Now, the crazy thing is, it would get on my nerves too. But I have to at least be fair with Nicole's. There was a few times where I had to be like, you know what? We needed her nosiness. Because she was doing a better job than the experts of trying to help these couples. How is that possible? What?
Bro,
like,
bro, did anybody clock that Nicole basically told Kevin to stay out of the business of Shaq and Kirsten? Matt actually told him to stay out of the business. I said, Nicole,
exactly.
You got some mouth on you, but when they tell you to shut up, you're looking like you're a little bit, you're sad that people are telling you. But you just told Kevin to mind his business.
Mm-hmm.
Stay out of grown folks' business. She literally told him to his face with those exact words. Stay out of business. Let them handle
that's
it.
My job.
Let them handle it. Let them.
That's my job. She said, that's my job.
There when they'll get there. What? I said, Nicole, if you don't sit your cherry ass behind somewhere and sit down with Chris looking at you like he's embarrassed, but they want to say nothing because he ain't got no balls to say it. I was like, you better sit your ass down. Sit your ass somewhere and be quiet. About
that was wild.
Let them handle it, Kevin. Don't worry. They let them handle it. They need to figure it out. What about you? Would you slipping notes under the door? How about you? How about you let them handle it?
Like, exactly. She wants them to handle it the way she would handle it. Like she wants them to do what she would do, right? It's a little bit controlling. In fact, no, I wouldn't even say a little bit. It's a lot controlling.
Yeah,
You're trying to tell
it's
other people how to run their relationships. So,
very good.
But again, she's on the ground with them, working through her relationship while they're trying to work through theirs. So maybe she feels like she's in a position where, like I said, she's got this inflated sense of self. I've made mine work. You can follow my footsteps type stuff. Yeah. Annoying as hell. But yeah. But, Chris needs to get used to this type of stuff because it's not going to change. She will do things that are going to, irk his soul sometimes or, embarrass him or make him have to defend her like that because she's that type of person. But, maybe the good points outweigh the bad.
You know what it is about Chris? He probably said to himself, he might have said to her, but like, hey, you know what? You want to be anybody else's business, be nosy about it, that's fine. But don't bring that ish home. Like, don't, not over here. So practice is outside. It's probably why he didn't say that. As long as you don't bring it to me, we good. So you just bring that energy to everybody else.
Please. Yeah. Please. I was like, yo. Nah, but I listen, I think, them two have survived and, she's definitely the more assertive energy. But, Chris can hold his own, but she just needs to stay out of people's business. That's okay. I know she wants everybody to survive, but she needs to stay out of everybody's business. You're gonna have enough on your plate in a few weeks, months' time. Focus on your relationship. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard. All right, let me shift it because I know Clint obviously had a situation with a dog situation, but there's not much to talk about with him and Gina. So I'll leave that alone. Apart from the fact they're all crying over a dog, Hank. But let's talk a little bit then about the main situation then. Shaq and Kirsten, because that's where all the heat was today. We had even the parents come out as well saying, this could have worked, what I mean, wanting them to work and stuff. So I want to ask a question. What was going on? What do you guys think of the Shaq and Kirsten situation? Talk to me, because you guys were very stern this season. Just saying.
I really wanted to be nicer about this. But what the heck? What? These two. That was the most ridiculousness I've ever seen. Like, are you playing with me? I feel like they're playing with us. They're playing with us, right? They got to be playing with us. Like, what? Oh, the waterworks. Oh, I just felt so insecure about it. Are we serious right now? What? Stop. Listen, I actually wanted to shoot Kirsten a little bit of bail because I was like, maybe we were a little too hard on her this season. Me personally, I felt like I was pretty much equal on the both of them. Like, Shaq got issues. She wasn't perfect. That was my issue with the whole Kirsten conversation. Listen, Shaq definitely has some issues, but she is not. She doesn't escape some of the smoke. She's have to do with some of this. But what was these two people? Now, I assumed that Kevin was going to do his best to try to stick these two people back together again. Okay, start that company. What threw me was the fact that they genuine. I do feel it was genuine. They genuinely was looking like they actually wanted to give it another try. I'm sitting there like, why? Somebody give me a good reason, a good reason why. At least they did go into some of their actual real issues that they had with one another. Something that should have been done weeks, months ago when they was actually married with each other. Shaq's insecurities about not feeling like he was not enough, which I kind of believe half of that, actually. Only half of it. I think it's real. I do think he was thinking in his mind like, yo, I don't think I got it together enough for this woman. I do think part of that was real. But let's just keep it real. Half of it was still stemming from the initial rejection that he got from her. And he never could let that go. I'm be honest with you, I don't see why he should have let that go. Because you ain't gonna sit here and play in my face 4 weeks at a time, keep telling me you don't in every other way, keep telling me you don't want me. Then all of a sudden, when I say, girl, we got 4 weeks left, we haven't done anything, we haven't made it anywhere, yada yada. Then she flips the script. And all of a sudden she's caring and supportive and this and that and third. I'm like, no, I can't believe that. I can't believe that. It sounds performative. And then Shaq, I don't think he was right to do this. I don't. I think it was very childish of him to all of a sudden turn around and shut down himself. Now, what he should have done was actually sit her down and tell her how he was really feeling. Like, listen, let's just keep it real. That week in Jamaica, first week out, you told me I was trash, you didn't want me, this and that and third. I wanted you. But now all of a sudden I see you kind of flipping on me like you want me. I have no security that it might be real or not. That's my question. How can you make me feel more secure in that? That would have been a grown-up question for him to ask her. And then she could have recounted what her insecurities were. Because some of them I understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, some of it I still think was a little foul, but I understand it. Like, you're not sure if whether or not this is going to go anywhere. So a lot of people are going to be hesitant about bringing you more into their life. You know what I'm saying? Showing you off or putting you around their people, this and that, third. I get it. But you also got to understand how that's going to come off the people. You know, it's not going to look right. Like, yeah, you was hiding him. You definitely was hiding him. Yes, if you notice her mama, she was trying not to throw her daughter under the bus, but she kind of did. Like, nah, you could have helped the family out and made more time. There's a reason it wasn't that he needed that family security, not just to know them, but to actually be a part of that family. He was taking it seriously. You tried to placate them or play them out like, you know, we just don't get together or it's hard for us to get. Nah. You could have made time for y'all families, or at least with him, to meet your family and spend time to get to know them better. But you kept him at arm's length. You waited till a week or so before the end to even go and really sit down and meet your father. Now, I think you just said it earlier today, Coach, and I actually agree. I do think at some point in time throughout this process, and I think this just naturally happens between people, I do think she developed a liking for Shaq. Like, she started to like him a little bit. Okay, you know, you got this, but he's actually pretty cool. We can talk to him, this and that, third. You know, I think she developed some type of liking for him. Me personally, I think that what tripped her up was the fact that this explains why she tried to keep the separation there. Her family took to him more than she thought they would. Her mom took to him. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I like him. I love him. Took to him, whatever. During the first wedding, when all her cousins and everything met him, they were cool with him. Girl, what's wrong with you? You know, Evidently, when he finally sat down and talked to her dad or whatever, he was cool. Now they want to go and have beers and go fishing. And she seemed generally shocked by that. So now she's stuck in a position. I don't know if I like this man like that, but my family does. Ugh. Like, is there something wrong with me? Do I have something messed up in my head? Am I missing something? Now she's second guessing herself. Because she knows she didn't like him in the beginning. She knows she don't like him like that. She knows she don't. But being that the people around her do, she's looking at herself like, ooh, could this be me? Is this me? And on Shaq's side, but you gotta learn how to use your words. Okay? You gotta know how to use your words. A lot of this, well, I ain't gonna say a lot of this. I was gonna say a lot of this could have been cleared up, but giving Kirsten, I don't know if this is true or not. But to me, a lot of this could have been cleared up if he was more purposeful of what he wanted and how he felt. Because usually the only time he got purposeful and how he was feeling was when he felt attacked by her. So he was on the defensive. And when you're on the defensive like that, in most cases, you're either going to come off super petty, you're going to come off maybe slightly disingenuous. You also could come off unkindly when you're speaking to said person. And that doesn't help anything. That's why I said when a lot of this could have been nipped in the bud in the beginning when she said she didn't like him. His response to that, I don't like your humor. It sounded like a broken record. It sounded like Dom when she spoke to Mackenzie. I don't like your humor like that. I ain't liking your bald head. It ain't working for me.
Ain't nothing I like about you.
Yeah. And his response, even though I understand it, his response was, "Oh, okay. What do I do now?" He just slowly started to shut down. I get the hurt from that because let's keep it real. That was she tried to say it softly, but it was a hard rejection. It was very hard rejection. In God's honest truth, Shaq should have been straight up in how he felt about her. But like, listen, okay, I can't change the way I am or the way you might feel about me right now. All I know is I liked you from the moment I saw you walk down the aisle. I was interested in you. Okay. Yes, this hurts that you have said this to me, because I was attracted to you. But if you're not attracted to me, this could be off camera. If you're not attracted to me, but we still want to continue with this process, okay, I could be cool with that. Be fine. I could be cordial, but I also got to let you know I'm not going to be 100% into this. I can't give you 100% because you're obviously not willing to give me 100% in return. Mm-hmm. Just to let y'all know where y'all at. But no, you didn't do that. He responded somewhat pettiness and cutthroatness with some of the stuff he was saying to her, which was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Which was wrong. My problem with Shaq has always been how he handled the situation, not his feelings towards it, because some of his feelings was very valid to me. It was very valid. Like, you get rejected like that, most people are not going to take it that well. I mean, look at Jasmine and Eris. She didn't take her rejection that well either, especially as the weeks went on. You could tell it was eating at her inside more and more. A lot of people don't take it well, but my argument with Shaq is always how he handled the situation. He wasn't straight up on how he felt. He always waited till something happened so he kind of jumped down her throat. That was wrong. That was wrong.
That's wrong.
But
go for it, Joe.
Yeah. Listen, I think, again, if you don't find something attractive about somebody that you're dating, you need to have some tact in how you express that, especially if you still have hope that something can materialize. And my main issue to start with this couple was the fact that you had, one person who was, physically not attracted. And even before even seeing him, she said to her girlfriends that there's certain things that that she didn't like about him. Then it went to his sense of humor, and then it went to the way that he spoke and all types of stuff like that, right? Cool. You didn't like those things. Is there a little bit of dom in here where you're saying these things, but you still want him to pursue? It's mixed messages. So, I think on Shaq's part, Shaq had expectations too. He wanted to be supported. That's one of the main things I keep hearing him say. He felt like he wasn't supported. I also think that he was unsure of how to even show up in a relationship, because he has to take seriously the things that she says she's not feeling about him, whilst at the same time maintaining some sense of hope that something can still materialize. There's no amount of courting that he could have done that would have somehow grown a fro or some naps or a high top fade. The stuff she said she didn't like physically is still there. But you're right, Trey and Coach and Sean, to a degree. She probably did grow to like him more than she did initially, but it's still not enough. Why? Because she came on a public show, as did he. Their families connected on day one. And the mothers even spoke about that. They said it was like a reunion, a family reunion, and they never even met each other yet. So I think the families had high hopes for them. And I kind of think that Kirsten was surprised that her family took to him as fast, as quick as they did, because she hadn't yet. So her hiding him or not wanting to go around with him didn't make sense to me, because you already come on TV and had a public wedding with this guy. So people around your town who tune into the show, they're going to see you together or expect to see you together. If they see you out by yourself, they're going to assume that it's not working, or you're not attracted to each other, or you're not with each other anymore. So, but she clearly wasn't even interested in keeping up appearances. She wanted to feel comfortable, and that's fine. He needs to feel comfortable too. It's a process where they haven't met each other. I get that. And you're not going to end up with the perfect person. So as much as you might say what you're looking for and all the other stuff, you've removed your power to select the person when you've put it in the hands of the show. So, yeah, I think this attempt by Kevin to continually try and put them together, even when they were talking on stage, Kirsten was like, listen, it's done. She feels like they had their moment and it didn't work. Even still, Kevin's trying to get them to go on a date or do something afterwards. Yo, just take it for what she said. How she said is how she feels. That moment's passed. It's moved on. And I think I still am of the firm belief that it should have been a no for both of them on decision day. Nothing's convinced me otherwise yet. I don't see why Shaq should have said yes just because she said yes. No, because the underlying issues why they weren't connecting properly, and the things that they weren't, attraction wise that weren't there for them, were still there. So even if they had said yes just to save face and stay on the show, those glaring problems wouldn't have been addressed. So it's good to see that they're amicable. There's no bitterness. There's no sourness, And even if they do remain cordial or go out on dates as friends, no romantic anything, then fair play to them. They've bonded and connected in some way over the last few weeks. She had her walls up very high at first. And, he was patient to a degree. He understood that she wasn't attracted to him. And they still made it to the end. They didn't quit like Dom and Mac did. So, it is what it is. But this couple was never going to work. I still think Jasmine and Shaq would have been a better match. And I still feel like Aris and Kirsten would have been a better match.
I totally agree with that. You find it funny? Part I found funny was when they showed that never before seen clip when everybody found out that actually Shaq and Kirsten consummated earlier than what they said. Jasmine was so tight. Like, she was tight. I guess a part of me understand why, but I was just sitting there like, baby, what? Calm down. It's okay. So they did it, but she was tight. Bitch, I can't believe you. I spilled my heart. I'm vulnerable. You said we was in the same spot. You lied to me. I was like, Jesus Christ. Calm down. It's not that serious. But man, she was tight. This couple confuses me. Because, yes, I don't think they should have been together. God's honest truth. But their main issue from the get-go, and still to even doing this reunion, was they did not have proper communication skills with one another. For some odd reason, besides that point, it seemed like they were almost on the same page, which is still weird to me because of what we saw happen in the timeline that we saw happen. But the way they're projecting it, like, yeah, they still talk, they still conversating. She likes talking to him. Okay, whatever. Somebody said it. He must have dropped it on her because this is ridiculous.
She did say that. She did say that would be the third red flag if you couldn't lay it down in the bedroom. Right.
Well, that red flag didn't come then.
Say that. So obviously something must have been a redeeming quality.
It was crazy to me. It was crazy. The mom still trying to get them together. Like, in the whole world, you got people in the world like, oh yeah, I think they can make it work. I'm trying to figure out how, because both of them, to Coach said it a few minutes ago, both of them, Shaq especially, because I put most of the onus in this area on him. So indecisive. They had to strong arm him into actually going out on another date with her. Like, I could tell, honestly, I could tell that he wanted to, or he wanted to ask, or wanted to see whether it was something, maybe he did feel a little regretful. Whatever. Maybe he did feel a little regretful. Maybe we could try to make it work, blah, blah, blah. But they had to strong arm him into doing it or asking him. I'm like, if y'all got to do this much,
then it's not worth it.
Thank you. It's not worth it for the both of them, because she wasn't too. She was kind of skipping back and forth. I don't know. I'm like, okay, these people just indecisive. I still don't believe it. But they may like each other enough to try to give it another shot. Hey,
listen, some people handle rejection like in ways that we can't, you know, we can't put ourselves in their position because if it hasn't happened to us, but you know, this is TV. This is a TV show. You got rejected on TV by the person that you were feeling. Straight away, when he saw her, his comments were, wow, I look like I found, you know, my match. I'm happy. She's everything I wanted. And then she wasn't anywhere close to that. So again, like, you're asking him to pursue someone that isn't attracted to him at that time, early on. It's a done deal. There's no amount of coaxing, pushing together, peer pressure, any of that stuff. It's not going to make it genuine. He's only going to be doing it because of the pressure that's being applied. So, yeah, good that they're civil. And, you know, they, you know, even when the conversation was getting to the crux of things, even when the mothers came out, there was no beef. And the mothers have been observing what's been going on too. And they said that communication could have solved a lot of their problem, right? They talked a lot. They talked more than they did anything else. But obviously, this is another case where there could have been more mediation with the experts that could have potentially steered the relationship to a different course. But, you know, when left to their own devices, they both showed signs of them not, you know, wanting to really give it 100% at times during their relationship. Right? He checked out after a while. He probably saw 4 weeks left, 5 weeks left, said, you know what, this ain't gonna work. Started doubting everything. You know, he expressed a lot of confusion at times. And then early on, she was the same. She didn't feel comfortable bringing him around her family. She wasn't attracted to him, and yada, yada, yada. So, you know, the relationship, it wasn't going to work. It wasn't a particularly turbulent, rocky one, but the lack of attraction and, you know, the reaction from that kind of, you know, signaled the end for that couple.
That woman said, I don't think he's masculine enough, or I don't find him masculine. It's all over after that. What are we talking about?
It is. It's finished. That's emasculation, right? But again, this is a guy that grew up with mostly women raising him. So who are his influences in his, you know, in his development? That is women.
I did too, but
yeah.
And I ain't turn out like that.
I hear that. Not everyone's going to turn out the same, but that might also be why he chose that career path to go mentor men, right? Because he didn't have an influence himself.
He didn't have. So he didn't have
himself there to try and change that for some of the kids in his community, which is a stand-up thing to do. But you know, he does receive a lot of shade and a lot of jabs for what he does for a living too, right? But without a male influence in your house or a male father figure, even if it's an uncle or a granddad or, you know, someone, if you know, it's going to affect your development as a man to some degree. You might even overcompensate when you get older, or you're found lacking in some areas where most people want you to be you know, more masculine in that moment. So yeah, Shaq's got issues that he needs to resolve, and maybe, like I said, maybe his work is a way of therapizing that or solving that problem for him. But at the end of the day, that's still not going to solve the problem. She didn't complain about. I mean, she did comment about him not being masculine enough, but it wasn't a major complaint. And the problem is, if you have someone that views you like that, plus she's not attracted and all the rest of it, then again, why are you going to pursue? What is going to compel you to want to pursue? The fact that you're on TV? Like nothing. So yeah, he was right to say no. He's right to say no.
I saw AW just asked a very good question. Do we think Kirsten has a warped sense of masculinity?
I think not only Kirsten, but there's a lot of people that have a warped sense of masculinity. And it's such a heavy talking point overseas, right? There's a huge tussle about it. We don't have that tussle here, for differing reasons. But a warped perception of masculinity is at the root cause of a lot of the heat that goes on in these YouTube streets, because you have, you know, fluctuations in polarity where you have some women describe themselves as being more masculine, and then, you know, are you more masculine than the guy you're with? If so, then you're going to see him as more feminine because you're more masculine than him in your mindset. Now, do they care about how that man's going to receive that? Because you got someone telling you, "Raw, you're not man enough for me." That's a problem. And you know, how does a guy do that tactfully without coming across as misogynist or overbearing or, you know, heavy-handed with his response? You're questioning the guy's masculinity, and he just basically has to say, "Okay, well, you're not a man. I am the man. You need to find yourself, find your femininity again. You're the one that lost your path." So yeah, there is a warped sense, definitely.
I will say this, to be fair. I will say this. I don't want to be fair, but to be fair, I will say this. There were times, especially after that meeting with Dr. Peter, it was times afterward where I noticed that Shaq would challenge Kirsten's femininity. That's why he kept going on and on about not feeling supported. Support this, support that. Every time he said it, my question was, all right, okay, I get you. Well, what type of support are you looking for? You just can't say, I want you to be more supportive. That's too blanket of a statement. What type of support are you looking from her specifically? And tell her that. You know, now, if she can't provide that afterwards, okay, then we are where we are. You know, probably nowhere, going fast. But that always bothered me when he said that. I'm like, okay, I get you, okay, but what is that support? And every time they would ask him, he barely could come up with a concise answer. You know, so that's going to be challenging. Like, okay, do you even know what type of support you really want? What are you asking for here, man? What are? That's why I said with Shaq, thing that gets on my nerves about him. He's a talker, which is, you know, Kirsten is not. He's a talker, but sometimes I feel like he's not talking about anything because he can't be concise or have a straight thought almost about anything. Like, he just leaves it all up in the air. Like, no, say what you want. Like, even in this reunion, I didn't like the fact it was doing it, but I did like the fact that it was trying to get a straight answer from him. Hey, bro, do you want her? Yes or no? And he still didn't answer that question. You know, tells me a lot. It tells me a lot about you already. I did ask you multiple times, do you want her? Do you want to continue seeing her? Tell her how you really feel. You know, how I'm supposed to say that? How I'm supposed to say I feel? And then he said exactly how he felt. And it was like, right there. That's it. You just said it. It ain't. So a lot of times it's not rocket science. You know, a lot of times it's really not. Sometimes we as human beings make things a lot harder than it needs to be. Or we feel like we have to present things in such a way that it has to be over confusing just to feel like we sound intelligent or something. No, sometimes it's just I feel sad because of this. I felt anger because you said this. Now, reciprocal. How do I make you feel? What did I say to have you say this to me in return? Sometimes we make things way too harder than it has to be. And Shaq is one of those people, he definitely does that. Just come on, bro. Oh, everybody disappeared. Okay.
Yeah, I think Shaq is afraid to commit on decisions for sure. Because I don't think he's as confident as he may feel he is when it comes to decision making. But he didn't crack under the pressure. So listen, he's not a dumb guy. He's not a fool out here. He's educated, he works, seems to be quite an okay dude. He's got, he's working, he's doing his thing. But in relationship sense, a lot of the things that he is struggling with are gonna rise to the surface, especially on TV cameras when everyone can see it. And just like with Kirsten, a lot of her issues about her having her walls up, and she came across quite empty as well, but I think Shaq is a unique character, and maybe with him saying no, there might be a chance that there is someone out there, a nice lady for him that's going to be at least more attracted to him than Kirsten was. And that would be a good starting point. And then from there, then hopefully he can give something a shot at another relationship. And with Kirsten, there's definitely going to be guys that would definitely shoot their shot at Kirsten. Oh, hey, Sean. What's happening, bro? So yeah, there'll definitely be guys queuing up for Kirsten. They're not bad people. They just didn't match. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's an experiment. It didn't work. Let's eat. It's not the end of the world for Shaq. It's not the end of the world for Kirsten. If they don't get back together, it still should be all good. They had enough time to try and make it work in the process. It didn't. And even outside the process, remain amicable. No hard feelings. No harm, no foul.
Well, listen, I came in a little late, but me and Kojo hashed it out a little bit earlier, but I'm just waiting to hear JR a little acknowledgement of the fact that you were moved from your staunch point of her not liking him at all.
Never, bro.
Well,
stay on it.
No, I will say you did miss the beginning where I did say she does seem to have grown some type of like for him, but nowhere near enough for him to feel like it's going to be a yes for them to stay together. Like I said, there's no hard feelings, but the point I made earlier is you need to be more mindful, not you personally, but Kirsten needed to be more mindful that when she expressed what her likes and dislikes are about the person that she's potentially going to be with, by vocalizing that as early as she did and as public as she did, kind of put Shaq in a position where she wasn't attracted to him. So therefore, that's going to create some uncertainty. Over time, they may have bonded through the experiment. They spent a lot of time together. They spent a lot of time talking and get to know each other. So yeah, it's natural. Like she's going to grow in some like for him, but it's nowhere near the level of, these two really would make a great couple. Let's see them. I don't get how the host was trying to push that.
Yeah, but I think my thing is that you guys were so dead set that she's fake, she don't like him, that you just missed a lot of bit of his issues, and you also missed the fact that she did like him as much as you felt that she didn't, and as much as the things you said. That's not even stuff Shaq was saying. Shaq was over here all over the fence, wishy-washy. 1 second he's talking about a prophet told him. Next second he's talking about at the end of the day he felt like he wasn't man enough for her. And I'm paraphrasing, right? So none of those things have to do with her level of attraction to him. That's all what he was saying. You know, he didn't say nothing about attraction, nothing about her stating very early on about his sense of humor. That was 1 and 2 episodes that we spent so much time talking about. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it was more than that. And again, I'm not saying she was right, he was wrong, she was perfect, he wasn't. They both had flawed issues, and they definitely don't need to be together. However, I think there was too much time put on energy that wasn't stuff that was an issue in their relationship. So I think like we were so diametrically like, oh, I'm team Shaq and I'm supporting him because if a woman says she don't like me in the beginning, then there's no room for that. When that was not even the crux of their real problem. The real problem is neither one of them were equipped to really be in a marriage. Both of them came to the table with so much trauma, so much baggage that it didn't make for them to be healthy partners for either one of each other. You know, but I think doubting they actually had a connection, right? You know, as flawed as it might have been, they had a connection and they did like each other, you know. So that's my issue.
I think on this episode, Shaq said he felt like he was not going to be the man that she was looking for. And what she stated about initially, like you said, the tussle over whether she's attracted to him or not. She said she wasn't attracted to quite a few things, personality-wise and looks-wise. So I'm not surprised that his conclusion is he doesn't feel like he's the man that she wanted to be with at the end of the day, right? Not saying there was anybody else, but he's just not the guy for her. He felt that. And that insecurity was based probably on the fact that she verbalized.
No, that was his own issue. And she clearly told him that, and he acknowledged that. And if you could look at beyond what you think to be the issue is, but look at how he has displayed himself. He has insecurities.
Okay.
And he has said a million times over the first and second episodes of the reunion that he felt all this immense pressure to be something. That had nothing to do with Kirsten. And I think placing that blame on her is unfair. It's just like placing her daddy issues on his feet and expecting him to understand and cover that. That's not fair to Shaq either. She absolutely has daddy issues, right? Her dad disappointed her. And at the end of the day, we can't just put that on somebody's shoulders. How I interpret what you say is on me. And if I don't seek clarity, and if I don't look to get more deeper into what you actually mean and where you are today versus where you might have been yesterday, then that's on me. So I don't think holding her to that regard because she made some comments about somebody that she met for the first time and saying, oh, you just can't ever say that. Look, this is a whole process, you know?
Right.
And
well, she spent more than half of that process.
That's a lie,
Still
JR.
stuck on the same thing.
No, it was two.
And,
it was
and,
one
and the
two
thing
episodes.
is, Shaq does have daddy issues. And that's why a lot of people, maybe you said it, but I know that it's out there in the streets. I think that one of the things that people have highlighted about Shaq is he has some feminine qualities. he didn't have a father to raise him, right? Not saying all men, like I said, Trey, there's a disclaimer, not all men display that, but he didn't have a father there. And that explains to me, or makes sense to me, why he would want to meet her father, to have like a father-in-law as a father figure, and why he does his mentorship program or whatever it is to mentor young males, right? He didn't have that himself. So Shaq does have father issues. That isn't the reason why they didn't work. Kirsten's issues, whatever she has, that's not the reason why it didn't work. Fact to the matter is, you mentioned wishy-washy. What's more wishy-washy than someone saying, I don't like you because you're X, Y, and Z, and these are permanent things about you that you're not going to change, and then all of a sudden turning around with 4 weeks to go saying, okay, well, now I think we can make it work. That's wishy-washy. All right. So I get what you're saying, but
yeah, but JR, the way you're presenting that, that's not how the story played out. And
listen, it played out with a no from Shaq, and it played out with a yes from Kirsten. For some reason, she said yes.
Right, but that's not what
I get it. Some people
said.
do grow an attraction, but is that
not what you
attraction enough
said,
to keep
though,
them
JR.
together so late in the
You
game?
were talking about her attraction to him, and now you're springboarding into decision day. I'm saying that the fact that you keep harping on that this dislike and what she didn't like, at the end of the day, when people meet each other on Married at First Sight, they have opinions, right? So she said what she wanted, and by the honeymoon, she simply told him, hey, listen, you know, your sense of humor is whatever, right? And I really wanted somebody that had hair. So that was episodes 1 and 2. By 3, 4, and 5, they were already moving past that. But what happened is something about that must have triggered you or anybody else, because it was like all we kept talking about. But we didn't hear that from her. We didn't hear that from her consistently saying, oh, I don't like you. Oh, I don't like you. Oh, I don't like you. I'm not attracted to you. She made comments in episodes 1 and 2 that we saw, or the day of the wedding and then into the honeymoon. And after that, they moved on. But
no, it was personality next.
You know what I'm saying? So I think ultimately at the end of the day, he chose to continue on in the process with her. Other people who were stuck at that point, like Clinton, Gina, Dom, and Mac, right? They chose to exit the scenario.
No, Clint and Gina stayed the whole process, despite there not being an attraction. But look, at the end of the day, she was still trying to hide him because she didn't feel comfortable going around town with him, despite being on a TV show getting married.
But what did she say?
That wasn't episode 1 or 2.
But what did she say about that?
She said that she was uncertain about whether they would make it or not.
Correct.
That's a risk all of them took, though.
Consistently, and again, I'm not saying it's right, but ultimately, just the same way you can defend his actions, her actions can be defended too, because at no point did he give her certainty. And her issue wasn't about hiding him. It was about the fact that she didn't want to be questioned about him after the fact, and they weren't going to be together. And Shaquille, throughout the process, also told her, I'm not sure, I have to see. He kept wanting her to continue to reassure him and give him assurances. And that's the same thing that she wanted from him. And that's what made them really ill-matched, because they both wanted the same things, but neither one of them was willing to give it to each other. So it wasn't that Shaq was doing something overwhelmingly right and she was doing something overwhelmingly wrong, or vice versa. They both were looking for something in each other that they couldn't get.
Right.
So it wasn't about her being ashamed of him. It was about her not feeling comfortable in the relationship. So not wanting to be out and about town with him and then have to answer questions after.
Well, don't come on the show then, because part of the process of coming on the show is there's cameras. It's going to be aired out to people's TV screens in her hometown and across the states and sometimes overseas. So if you are uncertain about whether the relationship will work before coming out and going on the town with your partner, maybe you chose the wrong format to find a partner on.
Yeah, same for him.
So yeah, but he wasn't the one that was trying to hide her.
Yeah, but he was looking for other things from her that were unique to a process that you don't necessarily get at Married at First Sight. He wanted to have all of these assurances from her to feel secure in a process over 8 weeks, where when you come on Married at First Sight, you're gambling.
Okay, so why say yes? He said no because of all those reasons you just mentioned, and she said yes. Why would you stay in a marriage?
Because she liked him, and that was my initial point, is that we spent a lot of time talking about her being disingenuous and not liking him, and she actually liked him. And again, I'm not saying they should be together, but JR, you're like jumping. You're going into the next thing. That's not the point of this discussion. We weren't talking about decision day. We're talking about the fact that their relationship had some validity, especially from her. And meanwhile, you were one of the main proponents saying that she was fake. She doesn't like him. Da 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 da.
He even said she was fake.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm coming against.
Yeah, I'm saying he even said she was fake. He felt like on one of the after shows, she was being performative. When the cameras are on, he said that she's a certain way. When the cameras are off, she doesn't want anything to do with him. Maybe you missed that, but that was on one of the after shows. He said that. Right. So if that came from him, he's on the receiving end of the. He's in the relationship with her, and that was his conclusion. That's where I get my information from the horse's mouth itself. Right. Now, but like I said, even if she did grow to like him as much as you say, is that enough to have a marriage? That's the point. As much as you say she liked him, is that enough for him to have said yes?
That's not the point.
That is the point.
That is
the crux of the matter is, are they going to stay together or not?
What did I say a million times? A million times from the point that I got on this panel is I've said I don't think they need to be together. I said that, yeah, and that's it. But what I'm talking to you specifically about is the fact that you doubted the sincerity of her really liking him, and ultimately between these last 2 episodes of this reunion, we have seen some significant evidence that she did like him. That's what my point is.
And my point is
that they should be together. They shouldn't.
It's not enough. You can like gentlemen and still not be in love or pursue a relationship with them. It's just like.
Gentlemen, may I interject for a second here? Listen, it's just for the record, I also believe that she didn't like him as much as she tried to project as she did. I also believe that she was very performative with how she was interacting with him, because there was a switch, and it wasn't after 1 or 2 weeks. No, it was at that 4th week mark. They actually sat down, had a conversation, and when he said to her, listen, to your point, Sean, we only got 8 weeks until we figure out if we want to be with one another. And right now, I'm unsure about this. To your point, Sean, yes, I don't think that was the right way to go about it. I think there's supposed to be a marriage. He's supposed to go through the long haul. But when he said that point, all of a sudden, she switched. She switched, and she actually started to put more effort in. It was at that 4th week mark. So it wasn't after the 1 and 2. Up until that point, she was very rejective of him. It was like talking to a brick wall. Now, Shaq, I continuously said, did not handle that rejection well, because he became very petty. He became very sliding. He was rude to her at times, very rude. He also was testing her. He kept continuously trying to test her with different things, really aiming towards her support or their lack thereof, which I ain't gonna lie, her support was iffy the first 4 weeks because she didn't like him. She said she didn't like him, but there was in this. Now, what I will say, and this episode did It's the first time I said it to myself. I was like, okay. I had to go back and think. All right. At some point in time, she developed some type of like for him. Something. Now, you ain't going to sit here and make me believe that it's just, oh my God, she fell for this man. No. Kirsten has always been a person who cares about what other people think about her. She and most people do. It's nothing bad, but because of that, she's gonna present things in a certain way that she's gonna try to always come off on top or looking the best. I asked this for weeks after decision day. No one really could give an answer. That's why JR kept bringing it up. We all agree that it should have been a no for various reasons for both sides. My main reason was this couple did not know how to communicate appropriately or properly with one another. And it led to a lot of misunderstandings and sly remarks or saying or hurting each other in many different ways. But no one has still been able to give me a concrete answer to why Kirsten said yes, because she shouldn't have. There was no reason for her to have. Now I can come up with some reasons, but I'm gonna refrain from doing that because it's not gonna put her in the best light. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm coming down on her. But what was getting me, and I did have a pushback to you, Sean, about the insecurities thing. That kind of, I was like, wait a minute now. Okay. On this point, I agree with you. A person's insecurities are their own. That's their own issue. I do believe in that. But we can't sit here and say that you're going to be in a conversation with a person or your partner, and they might say something that could activate some of your insecurities. They might do some actions that validate some of your insecurities. I cannot sit here and say that some of Shaq's insecurities was definitely his own. He definitely needed to get past himself, but I can't sit here and say that Kirsten didn't say things or do certain actions that didn't feed into those insecurities, and vice versa. Because I also agree she definitely has some insecurities about, so Shaq off around town or being with her family, mainly because she wasn't sure whether this was going to last or not. Which is funny because that's the same thing Shaq kept bringing up about Kirsten. It's the exact same thing. The reason why he kept pushing those, we only got 8 weeks, because he wasn't sure if they was going to last or not. So they were both talking from the same standpoint. But the whole insecurity thing, I was like, no, another person can definitely affect or have an effect on your insecurities. It happens all the time. Now, how you deal with that's a whole different story. And they both didn't deal with their insecurities very well. Both of them. But it's weird to me. We keep having this back and forth with them, but we still steady talking about the same thing. We both, at the end of this, all agree this should have been a no across the board. They really shouldn't even be talking back with each other anymore. They both should take some time apart, heal, discover some things about their own, and figure this out. But here we are. The people trying to stick them back together. They're both unsure, especially Shaq. Can't get a straight answer out of him. That's a problem. Especially when you ask directly. That's a problem. Kirsten, I don't think she even knows. She don't know what she wants. She act like she wants Shaq. I don't know if I can believe that a lot. I don't know. But this little tip-for-tat argument that you and JR is having is unnecessary. because y'all talking about the same thing,
But Trey,
just
no,
from
we're not.
different aspects of it.
Yeah, no, I don't think we are. We're not talking about the same thing. I think our disagreement, which is what I brought up in the beginning, has nothing to do with whether they should be together or not. That's not where our opinions are different. Because that's not what I disagree on. What I'm talking about is the fact that I have been saying and really do believe that she liked him. Now, whether she should have or whether they should be together, look, there's plenty of people who I don't think should be together or shouldn't like one person over the other, but that's what they do, you know. And the main thing is her like of him was called into question. And no matter what it is that she did, bar from she slept with the dude, continued to be, you know, said yes on decision day, and we're still sitting up here talking about she didn't like him. Like, at what point do we acknowledge the fact that, hey, you know, I could have been wrong about this, right? I could have been wrong about the fact that I was so adamant about the fact that this woman did not like this guy. It's like, what would you need her to do at a certain point? And for me, I just think, like, yeah, and Coach and I had a great conversation earlier today when we were kind of diving into the episode, and he was able to kind of see, hey, listen, you know, I could see that she genuinely liked him, you know? And if somebody can, after all of this, then you are literally blinded by your own perspective. And that part is what JR and I were debating.
And I said, and I think JR said this too, or well, you weren't on here yet, but JR said this too. During this episode, this was the first time I actually saw some geniality come from her. I'm like, okay, all right. At some point in time, she did grow to like him a little bit. Now, you're going to be hard pressed for me to believe that she was this much in like with him the entire time. Personally, I think a lot of this is stemming from her own rejection from him. That's what a lot of this feels like coming from me. Like, okay, he rejected her, now all of a sudden she, you know, ooh, no, how dare you reject me? It's kind of how she comes off a little bit. How dare you? You know, I don't get rejected, blah blah blah, but he did. So, you know, but that's a whole nother story. But this whole, come on, y'all. Does she like him or not? The fact that people are having to question it in the first place should let you know that, to answer your question, Sean, no, she probably didn't show enough, or even show even a tidbit enough that she liked him. Because the only thing we saw was her, I don't like this about you, I don't like that. Whenever he tried to, especially in the beginning, when he tried to talk to her, pull things out of her, get to know her, open up, she was a brick wall. It was a brick wall. It wasn't until that flip happened, then she started to open up more. A little bit.
Yeah,
It wasn't
but
much.
he was shutting down too. So this is what I'm saying, is like,
yes,
and,
he was.
And this is exactly. So a relationship is an ebb and flow. So if you have two people that are stuck in a moment, you're not gonna see the progress, right? So I just feel like at the end of the day, it's less about whether she liked him or not. And yeah, there's just as many people that feel that Kirsten didn't really like him. There's people that are saying the exact opposite. I'm not by myself on an island with this opinion. You know,
I don't know if Shaq like her either. I don't know if Shaq likes her either. To this one,
and I can't even call that into question.
Well, here's the thing I say about Shaq very definitively. This is what I say about Shaq. In the beginning, I think he was head over heels ecstatic about her. The moment he got rejected, he started to sour towards her. And it kept souring. It didn't turn around. It didn't stop. He didn't try to do the work to make a stop when she did flip around on him, whatnot. He just kept souring. Now, my argument has always been, I don't like the way he handled it, but I'm also going to say I can't blame him for feeling that way in the first place. I can't blame him for feeling that way. Because everybody's not going to react the same. You get stuck with this woman or you get stuck with this man. That person doesn't like you. This is messed up to say. It's not messed up to say, but it's a good example. Everybody is not Gina and Clint. Obviously, they didn't like each other. Well, honestly, I think Clint was okay with Gina, but Gina didn't like Clint. She dissed him a little bit, and then he turned around and dissed her back. But they both came to a conclusion, hey, let's at least be cordial, stick this out, this and that and third, yada, yada, yada. Okay. That's how adults handle it. There was problems with that all throughout as well, but that's how adults handle things. That's how adults talk to one another. You know, Clint showed himself to me to be an effective communicator. I can't, as intelligent as Shaq is, I know he has words, he's an intelligent man. He was not an effective communicator. He just wasn't. That's his problem mainly that I found with him. There was a lot of instances where he could have communicated far more effectively to Kirsten, and it probably could have helped out a lot of this with them as a whole. It could have helped himself out with how he felt about her, because I'm still questioning how he feels about her. You can't get a straight question out of him. Do you like this woman? Yeah, I mean, there might be something there. Bro, do you want her or not? Yes or no? Can't answer. That's a problem. Indecisive man. Very indecisive man. That's an issue beyond itself. Which leads into Kirsten's insecurities about, can this last outside of the 8 weeks? Her feelings were valid about it. I understood it. But you can't, there are pros and cons and consequences to everything that you do. You can't feel this insecurity about this man. So it keeps you from, quote unquote, showing him off to your family, showing him off around town, almost looking like you're hiding him, because that's exactly what you're doing, and not expect him to feel some type of way about it. It's going to happen. I would say the same thing to Shaq. Like, bro, okay, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I was like, okay, I get she wasn't feeling you in the beginning, but you signed up to be in this process with this woman, and you continually to shut down on her is not helping the situation. And it wasn't just a shutdown. It was a shutdown and not communicating that he was about to shut down on her. You know, it's like, no, if you feeling some type of way about her, why didn't you communicate that to her like he did today? Did this, even though this is kind of funny, the experts was right there to help. Finally, they both communicated certain things to one another that actually needed to be said weeks and months ago in this show, which I find strange, but that I feel like that's on the expert side of things anyway. But yes, you and JR have different perspectives when y'all looking at Kirsten and Shaq. Me on the outside looking at it, to me, it's not that different. Y'all just choosing to look at it in a different lens. It's not that different.
No, I think that's the thing, Trey, is you may be somewhere in the middle between JR and I in terms of your opinion, right? Mm-hmm. I think our debate was our debate, and my initial coming in on the conversation was a very specific point that I wanted to see if JR had moved from, because he had been very staunch on that point throughout the season. right? So my hope was that there was some movement that he and I could discuss. Now, whatever you discussed before I got on, I was not on.
Yeah.
I was elsewhere, right? So that's why I came in. I asked the questions, and the response I got was what I got, and that's why we got into the debate about it. I think we see it very differently, and I think that that's okay, and that's going to happen. But I just feel like all the things that you said, Trey, make perfect sense, right? You know, Shaq is not perfect, and neither is Kirsten. So I think some folks have had their foot so hard on her neck that they are barely leaving room for the things that she did that were good and positive. And also saying that these two people played off of each other. And it wasn't all based off of, and their relationship demise wasn't because Kirsten came in day one saying that she wanted a ball, she wanted somebody with hair, and she didn't like his sense of humor. That's not why their relationship devolved. Their relationship devolved because they're two people with trauma, two people who, funny enough, want the same exact things from their respective partners, but don't have it to give for themselves, let alone give it to someone else. So it wasn't about her, oh, I don't like him. That is an ad hominem, separate thing that had nothing to do, there's nothing he even talked about. He didn't talk about her lack of attraction for him. So I think like we spent a lot of time, an inordinate amount of time, talking about that subject matter, where we could have spent more time talking about Shaq's issues and more time talking about what Kirsten's actual issues were as it relates to her father, as it relates to how she's immature in relationships, as it relates to some of the trauma perhaps she's experienced that she suppressed, that she masked with other things. But we didn't get a chance to talk a lot about that because it was all about, oh, she didn't like him. She shouldn't have said that. She's being fake. She's being phony. When these things are all, hey, subjective at best.
Yeah, like I definitely hear where you're coming from, Sean. And I think Trey, like, because he heard some of what I was saying before, like, I can understand you didn't hear some of the things, but let's be real. The process is difficult. You're not selecting the partner of your choosing. It's left in someone else's hands. So there will be a chance that A, you're not going to find the person attractive. B, you might not get along personality wise. C, there will be issues from previous relationships that you may be bringing into this one. D, there may be relationships with parents or lack of support from parents or anything that you may be bringing into the relationship as well. But at the end of the day, these two, even if she did grow in like for him, I concede she does like him. She wasn't standoffish at any point in the latter part of the season. She even opened up more. But again, my point and my perspective is it enough to have steered the relationship back to a place where they both had a legit reason to say yes? And my point is, it wasn't. So, like I said, they just weren't a match for each other. That doesn't mean that Kirsten's a villain or Shaq's a villain. They both have issues. It didn't work between these two. They're still amicable and they're still cool. It's not the end of the world. So Shaq has hang-ups, and I think there have been a lot of conversations about that, whether he's too feminine, whether he has insecurities, whether he was being petty in response to him being rejected. All of that's been discussed. Likewise, with Kirsten, we've already discussed many times, as you've said before. Now, it isn't the fact that the lack of attraction caused the demise, but the lack of attraction was there. So we can't ignore that. And in this process, yes, you may find one person that likes the partner, likes the visuals, wants to get to know them better, and the other person may not be receptive. We saw that with Gina and Clint too. Even Mac and Dom started off very well, and they deteriorated when they got to know each other even more. So it does happen. It's not the end of the world. We just have two different perspectives, and that's fine. That's what keeps the world going round. So at the end of the day, the reason why I keep coming back to decision day is because that's when the rubber hits the road. Are you going to ride off into the sunset with each other based on the time you spent together and the connection you have? Or are you going to decide to call it quits? He decided to call it quits. She said yes. That's it. I think Kevin trying to push them together to go on more dates and all the other stuff. Okay. But is it going to change the reasons why it wasn't a match that was going to work? Maybe, maybe not. Time will tell.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I think where in our last conversation, we were at a point of disagreement. I think what you said just now is more in line with the stance I was taking. The other parts about them being together or not, hey, listen, that's, I don't even have a horse in that race, right? They're going to do what they're going to do, but I don't think they need to be together because they both got lots of work to do. But ultimately, I just felt like we just needed to move the needle a little bit and talk about a broader conversation versus hyper focusing on Kirsten not liking him and her lack of attraction, because just as you mentioned, JR, right, this is the process, right? So when you sign up for Married at First Sight, you know that you run the risk of the person not being attracted to you. We've seen this every single season play out 34 different ways and multiple different couples, not just this season. In every single season of MAFS, someone shows up and they're not as attracted to their spouse as the other. And either they choose to get over it or they choose not to. But that is one of the things. If I sign up for Married at First Sight, I run the risk that the woman that they may pair me with might not find me attractive, right? My ego will have me thinking that most women will, but reality is a different story. Right? So it's going to come up. It's going to be talked about. So just the same way you said there's expectations that she should have and there's certain things about that she should understand in terms of going on the show and things that she should be expected to do. Yeah, he should have been expected to understand that the woman that you're going to run up against, she just might not like you. A lot of women might find you attractive, but she might not. Right? And she can make a choice to either get over it or not. So that was my point, is like, this is nothing new. What Kirsten did was nothing new in MAFS history. And ultimately, as much as it, was a discussion, and I'm not saying she handled it perfectly, there's been plenty of people who have continued to go on and get married because they found a connection with the person and got past the initial discussions about looks from meeting somebody at the first sight. So plenty of these couples go on, say yes on decision day. So that's what I'm saying. That was not the why. That had nothing to do with it. It was everything to do with Shaq's issues and Kirsten's issues that led them to a mismatched decision on decision day.
Well, that's how the debate solved, isn't it, then? Good little tussle you guys had. You know what I mean? It's coming to the end of the tussle. I had a little nap in between the time and caught master parts of your guys' arguments. Woke up to Trey. Went back to bed, saw Trey again, woke up to Trey again. But listen, hey, it was a tussle that was needed. It's been a tussle all season. We have come to the end of the road. Kirsten and Shaq. We'll find out, I guess, on next week's episode. But I doubt they'll be making their way anywhere towards a relationship because he's in a different state. But I think it's been a long, arduous road. It's been 26 episodes. And they could have done this in about 14. They really could have, but they wanted to squeeze every little dime they had into this 26th episode, which wasn't even giving. But I think to myself, that with all the couples who were involved in this season, I think they could have all benefited from having more hands-on from the experts, as well. And they potentially could have been saved in some respect if there was a bit more input that was added to things as well. So yeah, but it was good tussle. It was good tussle this season. I've enjoyed it. Now I want to talk. Thank you, CXM. She just took the words out of my mouth. What the heck does Dr. Pepper do next season? Because Dr. Pepper looks younger, fitter. I don't know what she did, but that preview of what she looked like next season, I don't know what she did, but baby, she was looking good. The wig was bobbing. I mean, the wig was bobbing. Okay? Wig was bobbing.
She got a Hollywood refresh. She said she tired of y'all coming for her neck, so
maybe
she look good.
She about to show us. She about to show us.
Oh, was popping out.
What is? I've always wondered this about Married at First Sight. What is it about the U.S. version that it seems like they don't even allow the experts to do their job? Because every other version you see, the experts are pretty much involved. I mean, really, at least trying their best to be involved. What is it about the U.S. that, I don't know, our producers here, or the show that runs it, they don't allow that? What is it? I don't understand.
That's a valid question, because, like, if you look at the Australian one, the experts have them all have like a dinner party every week. So the couples all come back together and then they air what's been going on. And then sometimes, well, most of the time, it gets like quite peak, right? They start going at each other for some reason or another. And then after that dinner party, they all go and sit in front of the experts and decide whether to stay or leave.
Yes.
Based on how the relationship's been going up to that point. And if one person says leave, then they both have to stay. But if both people say leave, then obviously they're gone from the process. So it's a very valid question, but you also have to look at the fact that, these experts, all right, they're experts on the show, but, at times we've questioned some of the advice they've given to some of these couples, right? Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if they're going to really change that format, but I think they should, because it would probably increase the success rate if they did.
Hey, Coach, when's the next season of the UK version coming out? Because I caught the season or two ago. I loved it. So
I'm not even sure. I think it's around the corner. I can't lie to you. I think it's around the corner because I remember seeing some adverts for it. So, if you guys are down, we'll definitely review it. For you guys, but I mean, it's like a daily thing for us. The only thing I like about it is similar to the Australian version. I ain't got all day to be doing it every day. You lot are doing an hour produced every day. Like, calm down. That's why I like the American one, because it's weekly. I can adjust myself, take a little bit of time, recover. These niggas said, no, you're gonna get it on a daily. We'll give it to you every day. Like,
every episode per day?
Yeah.
Episode per day?
Yeah.
Per day.
Like Monday to Thursday.
I'm good on that.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Monday to Thursday. I guess we can do like a weekly review and do every week and do it every 4 episodes review. Do you know what I mean? It might be easier that way.
Also, the season is over after a couple of weeks, sound like.
Yeah, like it's only like, is it like 3 weeks or something? It's not very long because they do 4 episodes per week.
Somebody was telling me the Australia one is good too.
I've been hearing the show is popping. I would watch it again, but it's every day, and I just
I've-
can't.
That's every day too. Yeah, bro.
Bro,
Yeah.
every day, Negro.
Can't do it.
That's every day. Like, I watch the
I'm
Australian
not
one.
gonna be able to do it.
Hour
I'm
episode. I think the show is an hour and a half episode. Like
No,
nigga,
no,
I got things to do.
No.
It is.
Yo.
The Australian one's a lot different, and you also have a lot more salacious things that happen, right? There's usually a couple where, because they're not working out, either the bride or the groom goes in, tries to get with another partner, right?
That's
So
what
you
I heard. There's couple swapping. They do
Yeah.
couple swapping.
yes, a couple times these, they've tried to sneakily run off with each other, and then they have to confess all because it's gotten out or the cameras have caught something. So yes, there's a lot more drama in it. But again, they have experts every week, so they're held accountable when these things happen. But some of them are just so emboldened and brave that they want to rub it in the other couple's face that, yeah, okay, it didn't work with you, it's working with them. So let's come back on the show and be a couple and see out the process in this new in this new relationship. And the experts usually don't let them do that though.
Yeah.
But again, for drama purposes, they might change that too.
I saw that one time on the it was a couple seasons ago in the UK version. I saw that they allowed one couple to do that, and it was messy. But it was funny.
Yeah.
Actually, I just got finished watching Love is Blind Brazil. Loved this latest season. That was entertaining. And I love the way they do it. They are in and they are out. 10 episodes done. I'm like, what? The weddings was done in literally one episode and a half. The weddings was done. I was like, this is great. Got right to the point, and they went all 5 for 5. And apparently, their success rate is high.
Because they're not
Cool.
out here trying to catch fame.
Did you talk about Gil?
I ain't talking about his ass, no.
I think we need to do a quick synopsis at some point, obviously not today, of Mirla showing up on Kendra G, and then we could do a quick revisit to the Gil Mirla, because I think I'm not quick to apologize, but I think I owe the audience a little bit of an apology about my staunch defense of Gil.
That nigga so dusty is ridiculous, bro. And us all defended him, and meanwhile, he's out here not being able to pay half his rent.
I need to
the
get
frick
some
out
off
of
my
there.
chest because it was sitting on my spirit, and then when we talked about it, I think we just totally understood. Woo, Gil got us out here looking bad, so we got to address it. Just a brief one.
Listen, it was a madness. That's not to say that Miller doesn't have a hang-ups, but bro.
No. But I think similar to what I was, what JR and I were tussling about is we were so busy defending him, right, and not wanting him to be dusty, which the dust is debatable, but I think there's some dust kicking up around him.
It's definitely dusty because we mentioned 411K.
Well, he dipped out.
Some of his issues.
Listen, he dipped out from Dom like ASAP, like after that video chat, that video call.
Well, he was smart to do that. I think he was smart on leaving Dom where she was, but I felt bad for her because the way he, it was elite the way that he just curved her. It was like, yeah, okay. She's like, maybe we can talk sometime. Yeah.
He's like, nah, I know what this is. You ain't about to catch me slipping. Nah.
He's like, I'm not gonna be able to do it.
I see.
He ain't trying to look dusty twice on national TV like that.
There goes Seaway. Here she decides to come in. Yes, Seaway.
All late. Jesus.
Don't worry about that. We'll do a separate live for that thing, and we'll break it down actually then.
Okay.
We can do that as well then. I'm around this weekend, so shoot. what else do it on the weekend. You get me, and do it. But yeah, we'll review that video of the Kendra G and the Mila one as well. Yeah, because that's actually the audience has been asking for that for a very long time. But yeah, no, yeah, listen, audience, it's been a good conversation and we appreciate it. Listen, we are gonna try and work hard to try and get some more interviews. But if you're here Monday, we'll have Justin from previous season and Married at First Sight. I'm gonna try and reach out to a few more of the previous casts as well and try and get them on. And hopefully that should start igniting some of these next cast mates to also jump on this channel and give us their perspective as well, because we definitely want to hear from some people. Unfortunately, I didn't get to have States. That's the other Nate. I really wanted them on the channel. I actually spoke to both of them. I actually had them both agree they want to come on, but there are principalities and powers that are working in the air. So sometimes the prayers are going and the answers are coming, but the powers that be are holding them up. So keep the prayers going, guys. Keep the hope alive. You know what I'm saying? We'll get these Married at First Sight interviews, trust me, and we will get some more of these people on and get some conversations flowing. All right. But listen, it's been good. It's been fun. I'm going to bed. I have had power naps, and the power naps have done me justice, but I need to go to a proper sleep now. Okay. But thank you, Sean, JR, and Trey for tussling. It was needed. The the power the powers that you guys were displaying today, it was effortless. I'll definitely have to catch the replay on the parts I was snoozing. But and definitely chop it up as well, because you guys were going at it. Like I was literally in and out, so I was hearing parts of the tussle. That's what was killing it. I was hearing parts of the tussle, so that was the best part of it. So well done, lads, on that as well. But to the audience, listen, we're gonna leave these situations alone. We're gonna leave these situations alone. We are tired of Married at First Sight. They will be back, I'm sure, in a month or two as well. Ready to Love starts on the 7th of July. We'll be back to our regular Saturday slots for that show as well. And I'm going to make sure I do a lot of coverage for Ready to Love this year. I've rejuvenated a little bit. Last month I was tired, but I've rejuvenated now. So we're going to do a lot of coverage on Ready to Love and give you guys some exclusive videos as well. Listen, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification uploads. Oh wait, hold on, I'm breaking tradition. Sean, give us the benediction. Sorry, I was breaking tradition. I just realized I was about to leave without the traditions, bro. The good Lord would have had me.
Okay. So listen, I know I came in in the ninth inning, but I want to thank JR especially for a spirited debate. For being a great engager in the art of debate. So we had a good chop it up session and a good back and forth. And I think, listen, take note, right? This is these things are going to come up in friendships and relationships. You're going to disagree, and I think it's very important that both people feel heard, both people are able to express their views, both people are able to listen to each other. And I think that is ultimately a great way to navigate disagreements, right? Because they're going to happen. If we avoid them, if we shut down, if we run away, and if we run away from them, then nothing comes from it. Because guess what? Our feelings don't just go away. If I disagree, if any one of us disagrees, we should be able to talk that out. We should be able to work through that. But most importantly, before we engage and enter into relationships, we should be in a place of wholeness. We shouldn't be looking from someone to give us something that we cannot give. If we are not able to give it, then we shouldn't be asking. And most importantly, when we enter into a relationship of marriage, it is about servitude, right? We follow the example of Christ, for those of us that are believers. And Christ is the ultimate servant leader. So as we lead, we serve, right? So that is what's most important, is what I can give to you first, and then what can you give to me? So that's the example we should follow most often. Back to you, Coach.
Thank you, Sean. Listen, audience members, it's been amazing. It's been great. It's been sweet. And we've really fully enjoyed Yeah, listen, I don't know what happened there. The sound decided to go out at that premium time. It's probably telling us it's time to go. Listen, it's time to exit the church. We're out of here, guys. Listen, say your goodbyes to your friends and family. It sounds really gruesome, that does, but we're out of here. But those of you obviously have Patreon, you can continue the conversation in the Patreon and Discord. So you can have that conversation as well. But don't forget, you can also join the membership as well. And get access to the exclusive content where we guys have, I guess, bi-weekly little lives that we'll have with the membership only. So get involved with that as well. But listen, audience, thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button. We'll be back. Like I said, we'll be back again on those Saturdays for Ready to Love. Right at first sight. Au revoir. We're tired. And we'll see you guys in a few other weeks or months, whether they come back to us as well. Much love, much appreciation. Goodbye. Shalala.